You're listening to Eat, Play, Sex with Dr. Cat, the place to up-level that sexy life of yours, with expert talk on sex, love, and nutrition.
Yes, ketamine by class, its class is dissociative, and it has that characteristic that can remove one from their body, which is can be really useful, especially as you know, the somatic approach that we carry so much in the body.
Yeah.
So you can think of it in one way of just getting a little bit of space from that without it even feeling numbed. It's a different experience of having space from without it having to feel numbed.
Because you're still present to it.
Because you're still present to it. So in the higher doses, is an important part of this conversation. So the higher doses, the highest doses that we use in a therapeutic setting, there would be a lot of separation. Some would even, classify it as like ego death or just kind of something very far out there, no identification with the body or even a sense of self.
Oh my God, that sounds scary.
And that can be scary for many people, and it can also feel really relieving. And I think of the studies being done in end-of-life care, where people have a high-dose experience. And I've worked with people that weren't necessarily working with a fear of dying, but post a ketamine session, they're like, wow, I am just less afraid of that thing that I think I've kind of been orienting to unconsciously to be really afraid of. Yeah. So more often, I should say of late, I've been working in lower doses with ketamine, and that creates less distance, less dissociation. So there's this knowing, witnessing presence online, and it can experience oneself or one's mind without, say, we'll just use for an example, the tension in the body, whether that tension is from unprocessed grief or any number of reasons. Another major factor of how we work with this, given it has this dissociative characteristic, is the set and setting and the therapeutic alliance. So the mindset, the intention. I'll let people know that wherever, whatever happens in the next hour as far as their internal experience, that they're going to be right back here in their ordinary state of mind. So it's kind of setting up, giving them a little bit of a map to help support their mindset. And then it's also including the setting, that it be comfortable and familiar and kind and supportive. So these are some of the different factors that support the work with ketamine.
So I love that you just said that, set and setting. I've heard that terminology used a lot in the psychedelic world, especially Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, where I was reading about that set and setting as in like what you're just saying, creating a container for somebody to be able, very intentional, like set, intentional, and setting like what's going on in the environment, because when we open our minds like that, we become very, very sensitive to everything that's around us. So you and I have both been to festivals, like, we've been to music festivals, and I've been to Burning Man, and there is that psychedelic culture there. And so the difference between that is this piece here, the set and setting.
That's a huge difference, yes. Or the way I understand it, a huge difference. So set and setting, as you named, the set is the mindset, the space someone's mind and mood is in, and also intentions being a very big part of that. And the setting being the environment, the space. Is it comfortable? Is it a controlled, warm, conducive environment? Back to the setting, the set, and that there is intention. Also a difference between
like recreational
use. It's really the intention. The therapeutic intention is we're here to get to know ourselves better. We're here to heal something. We're here to understand, move through something. It's a movement toward oneself. Whereas for many, drugs along with psychedelics included in that can be used to escape or to move away from.
Yeah. Or to enhance, to make something more sensational. Yeah. I just can imagine, somebody who has unprocessed trauma, or who hasn't even learned the skills to be able to recognize that their thoughts are not themselves. Like it takes one of these psychedelics or substances or medicine out in a world that doesn't have an intentional set and setting, and how scary that could be. How re-traumatizing that can be. I've even had clients come in and they took psilocybin or mushrooms just themselves, and I would not have advised that if I had known that they were going to do that, because they weren't appropriate for it in doing it by themselves, and it ended up re-traumatizing them. And so then I was here to help them integrate and discover, okay, what just happened to you, and I just imagine all the people out there who don't have that guide, or don't have that person to hold that space, could potentially be having these life-changing experiences, but could also end up re-traumatizing themselves.
It is possible, yeah, and it points us back to education and the importance of that, the kindness, the compassion of having a investment in education for oneself and others, and as we're talking about psychedelics and how that can be an assist in these things in healing, and to say there's also many other ways to get the kind of mind and heart expansion that we're talking about, like you and I met 5 rhythms, right? So through dancing, breath work, drums, music, creative, athletic, flow states. There's a lot of different ways that that can support this kind of mind and heart expansion. And also to say about psychedelics, there's a lot of, while I'm a clinician, researcher, and I'm honed in on the therapeutic uses of psychedelics, I am very aware of their use for consciousness exploration, and how I want that to be a birth, a right for everyone.
We're over here dancing. You can't see us, but we're over here dancing, finding that word. Where's that word
at? That word, yeah. So whether it be for healing, for expansion of one's mind, you had mentioned, I remember for hearing listen to that voice that keeps going in my mind. Yeah. Whether it be a critic or just some whatever the narrative is that's going. Having even a little bit of space from that, however we create that space. Of course, it's my experience that psychedelics are a very useful tool, technology to help with that, particularly when there's care given to the set and setting.
Yeah, and when we're having these conversations, these educational pieces around how to use them or how to take care of ourselves with them, because I think I mentioned earlier with cannabis how it has these properties to be able to help us to create spaciousness, to look at things, to help us understand our anxieties more, but it's also become very commoditized, and it's just being like you can go and get some at your local dispensary, and it's called purple penis or something, I don't know.
Penis envy.
I think that's psilocybin, isn't it?
Those are mushrooms, yeah.
Lovers, thank you again for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, hit subscribe and head over to eatplaysex.com to connect with me and grab my sexy guides. Because my goal here is to get you to eat, play, and sex better, so you can improve your sex life, which will improve every aspect of your life. Until next time, keep it sexy.